Some politicians are worried that the country could split between the West, which wants closer ties with the EU, and the East, which favours Russia. Now, the country has long been divided along ethnic and linguistic lines. Roughly 2/3 of the population are ethnic Ukrainians who speak the Ukrainian language. 1 in every 6 people is a Russian-speaking ethnic Ukrainian. And ethnic Russians, they also make up roughly 1/6 of the population. Now, these divisions are reflected, they were reflected in the last presidential election of 2010. And this is how the country voted. The Ukrainian-speaking West voted for Yulia Tymoshenko, and the mainly Russian-speaking East voted for Viktor Yanukovych. He won that election with more than 48% of the vote. We can speak now to Lilit Gevorgyan, who is a Ukrainian analyst, and she joins us live now from London. Thank you very much indeed for joining us here at Al Jazeera. What's your assessment of the state of Ukraine right now, as we have the president, Viktor Yanukovych, describing events so far as having been a coup?
Well, I think first thing to remember is that the president was legitimately elected, so he sees the unfolding of events as a coup, because he was effectively being forced out from power, or is being forced out of power. On the other hand, we have the opposition who are saying that, well, look, he was elected because he was given a chance to be democratically elected, and he defeated Yulia Tymoshenko. However, we have serious doubts that he would allow the same rights in the upcoming 2015 elections. This was one of the major issues, lack of trust in the current authorities. This has been aggravated with the high number of deaths that we've seen last week, which effectively made Yanukovych's political future untenable. So what we're seeing now is a situation where the opposition wants to push ahead, really finalize what they've started, hopefully take over the power, as they expect to do in May now, as we've found out with the snap elections, whereas the president believes that he has the legitimacy and he has to continue with insisting on his rights, although this strategy may not work.
And what impact will the imminent release of Yulia Tymoshenko have upon this tumultuous state in Ukrainian politics right now? What effect will she have?
I don't think it's going to calm the situation necessarily. Tymoshenko was indeed a very popular leader back in 2004-2005 during the Orange Revolution. But we shouldn't really forget that it was at the ballot boxes in 2010 that she was defeated. She's not necessarily a unifying figure. The other problem is that because she's such a charismatic leader, she's quite likely is going to emerge as the key leader of the opposition in the upcoming elections. And it's still unclear how this will sit with the other leaders of the opposition that have been carrying this movement. So I think that at the moment, Ukraine actually needs a leader that would have calming and unifying impact. But I don't really see anyone who can do that. And
how seriously should we take these concerns about the possible prospect of Ukraine dividing along that long existing fault line between East and West? How seriously should we take the prospect of that deepening still further?
I think it's quite simplistic to put those divisions along the cultural or linguistic lines. Indeed, there are differences, but we have to remember that Ukrainians are quite proud of their country, and there have been supporters for opposition in East as well. Tymoshenko herself comes from Eastern Ukraine, and there has been also emergence and quite surge of activity amongst the middle class across Ukraine. So there are different layers to this story. But of course, Yanukovych maintains his power base in the East. There will be probably support for him or for those who are anti-Timoshenko, but it doesn't mean that the country will be split into two parts.
Okay, thank you very much indeed. Very interesting talking to Lilit Gevorgyan, a Ukrainian analyst who's joined us live from London.